The next speaker is very special. He stayed up very, very late, or should I say early in the morning for him to deliver his talk. It's Danny Ma. So Danny Ma is the founder and CEO of Sydney Data Science. He has over 8 years of experience in data and has worked in almost every single role in the data ecosystem. He includes time as a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, and machine learning engineer. He is super passionate about mentoring and is always finding ways to give back to the data community. Danny runs the Data with Danny community with over 3,000 people and will soon be launching his initiative where you can actually join him on a virtual apprenticeship where he will be your personal guide and mentor in your data journey. So make sure to follow Danny. Danny is also the king of memes and free Udemy courses. So if you've ever seen a free Udemy course post, that was probably from Danny. At this point, Danny, you're still up. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here, Kate. This is so exciting. I'm a little bit nervous actually, but I hope this will be really fun. I'm wearing my DATAcated shirt, so I am DATAcated.
Thank you so much for that. So Danny, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off the stage. If you need me, I'll be right back here.
For sure. All right. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. And as Kate mentioned, I've been in multiple roles across the entire data ecosystem. And throughout my career, I've come to a few different realizations, and some of these realizations might be able to help you on your career, on your own data journey as you're going through some of the challenges. And I think that some of these ideas will definitely help you as you're progressing through. I'm really excited to share them with you. So to keep it really simple, there are 3 letters for these ideas, and they are UAC. So if you tune out for the rest of this presentation, just remember those 3 letters. And from there, the U stands for understanding. So when we think of data science and the whole data process and everything that we do within our careers in the data industry, we're always looking to solve problems, try to get the value out of some of the data. But before we even do any of that, I believe that having a good understanding of the problem, of the situation, of what's going on in some of these different areas is going to be super important when you're trying to tackle some of these problems. So one of my favorite books is by Stephen Covey, and it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of those habits is seek first to understand before being understood. So throughout my career, when I started off, I was kind of very, I think that I was very headstrong. I always wanted to let people know what my thoughts were, what my ideas were, which direction the project should go towards. But sometimes I was just off the mark because I actually didn't have a good understanding of what was going on. And I think as we progress in our careers and we get more experience, we realize that when we jump in and have kind of all those different ideas that we have, they're great, they're really good. And I think it's really great to share them, but it's even more important to kind of take a step back and try and understand exactly what sort of problem you're solving. And this is especially the case in a lot of these problems that we're solving within the data world. So understanding is super, super key for anything in terms of understanding the problem, understanding the data that's going into the different solutions that you're building. Also understanding the people that you're working with. Oftentimes when we're going through our careers, we deal with people when we're working on the workplace. Having good relationships with your co-workers, your managers, some of the teams that you need to get data from, all of this is really important, and you have to take a step back and try and understand where are they coming from, what initiatives are they trying to push forward, how can you fit yourself in so then you can work together as a team. Data and data science is definitely a team sport. It's not going to be an individual sport for sure. So the first letter out of the UAC, U stands for understanding. Okay, now onto the second letter, A. A stands for artisan. So John talked about this a little bit earlier when he talked about the artisanal teams, or the teams that have ownership over the entire process. So for me, artisan, being a data artisan, and the people who are really skilled and experts in their craft, I have so much respect for those people. For the people who are, they really have their soul in the game. When you think about the old school artisans, like the different masters and experts, your cheese makers, your wine makers, your artisan bread makers, the master chefs who have everything down pat. And for me, when I think about artisans, it's a really romantic idea. So, for example, whenever I go traveling, I wish I could go traveling right now. I usually try and find out anything where there's pottery. I like taking back pottery so then I can kind of remember why I went there and kind of bring something back that was made from that area. So in the same way, when we think of artisans in the data sense, I believe that for us in our careers, we want to reach that level of mastery. It doesn't really matter which area we want to master in terms of the data science processes or the whole data ecosystem. The point is, when we're progressing in our careers, we always want to be moving forward, or we want to be learning more skills or improving the things that we really want to specialize in. So when I think of us as data artisans in our trade and in our craft, there's a few different things that come into it. So when you think of artisans in terms of those masters who really understand the entire process of what they're doing, we can think of kind of like a master carpenter who specializes in furniture, for example. So the carpenter, of course, he has to know what his customers want. They want awesome furniture. They need the right designs. They need the right finishes. They need to be marketed properly to the right audience. So having that understanding of what your end user is going to use and the different functions and the different things that you want to design for are very important. So that's at the end of the goal. But when you take it upstream a little bit, so what does the carpenter make his furniture out of? He makes it out of raw timber. And the artisan, that master craftsman, will know every single thing about every single type of timber. He'll know a specific wood needs to be treated in this way, so it has to be flexible enough so it fits into the design of a specific chair that he wants to build for one of his customers. And having that knowledge, that deep knowledge of everything that's going on with that timber, how it's processed, how he should treat it, all of those different things, the artisan kind of picks up over his experiences. And in the same way, when we're working with data in our careers, we want that same level of intuition where you just know what is going on with those inputs, with what is going on upstream of wherever you're doing your magic. And when we talk about magic, this is where that carpenter, that furniture maker really gets into it. So he knows all of the different tools that he's going to use to make that piece of wood into a piece of furniture that his customer desires. Now, when we think of tools in data science and in the data industry, there's going to be lots of tools. They're going to come and go. There's going to be some which are more difficult to learn than others. When we think of it from an artisan point of view, I think that the artisan, they use the tools to get the job done. Tools are just a part of it. How they apply the tools to do certain things to the timber, that's where the important thing is. So for example, you might be really good at using a saw to cut through timber, but what happens when power tools come in? Are you going to continue using the power tool? Or are you going to continue using the hand saws? Or are you going to transfer over to something which is more efficient, something which is more accurate, something which reduces the amount of time it takes for you to do whatever you need to do to produce that magic? So when we think of the artisans and the processes and the raw materials and the tools, in the same way, when we're doing the data as experts and masters in our craft within that data space, we should think of it in the same way. So it doesn't matter if let's say you're a data engineer or a machine learning engineer or a data scientist reporting analyst, all of it, they are just different roles and different focuses, but all of them can still lead to mastery for that specific role. And I think that that is really important, because we see a lot that people kind of like they have these different tiers for the different roles. Like, oh, if you're not a data scientist, you're not valuable to the company, or something stupid like that. I think that when we think of artisans, it's really, or when we think of ourselves in our data careers, we're there to add value, and it doesn't really matter how we do it. And it doesn't matter what other people say about what we're doing as well. So to go back to this framework, we've now covered the U and the A, the understanding and the artisan, in quite a lot of depth. And what does C stand for? C stands for curiosity. And I think that curiosity is the thing that leads us to want to understand people and processes and systems. And the curiosity also leads us to wanting to perfect our craft, wanting to improve, wanting to try and find out how we can do something slightly different and see if the result is different. That sounds like science, doesn't it? In terms of trying out different interventions, different experiments, and trying to see what comes out and optimize the final output. So I think curiosity is the key for when we think of the data careers, when we think of growing and learning new skills and kind of broadening our understanding of the overall process, the whole data science process, or just understanding more about data governance or different areas of the whole data ecosystem. I think that having that base level of curiosity is the thing that's going to drive you forward. And I believe that that is the thing, the crux out of this feeling. When we really want to find out more, that curiosity will just drive you forward. And I think that's the energy that you need to take into any different problem that you're trying to solve, so you can really, really understand it really well and improve your craft. And I know this might sound really overwhelming in terms of you need to be a master, you need to be an expert, and all of that stuff. I think we think very short term in general. And what we need to do is kind of, our careers, it's more like a marathon. It's not a sprint. I've posted about this many times, but I think we need to think about how we're going to have a long-term vision and what we're going to do on a daily basis to kind of move ourselves towards where we need to get to. And I think when we go through this process, of course, there's going to be some up days where we're feeling awesome. There are going to be some down days where we're not feeling so great. There'll be days when you just feel like giving up. But the thing is, we just need to have that macro view and really see where we're going, compare ourselves to where we were before, and just keep having that growth mindset, pushing you towards where you really want to be in your data career. And I think the most important thing is to believe in yourself. You can do it. If you believe and have really strong conviction in where you're going, I 100% believe that you will make it. So in summary, there are 3 letters to this presentation: U for understanding, A for artisan, and C for curiosity. Thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Danny. I love your presentation. We have a lot of your fans are here saying if you follow Danny, you never have to pay for anything ever again because of your note for your free Udemy courses. I love the presentation today. There's a great question here from Sneha asking, which letter from UAC do you think is the most important to work on?
This is a really great question. I would love to say all of them. I think there's some sort of interesting synergy between all of them, where you want to have that curiosity to understand what's going on, to improve your skills and kind of improve the impact that you want to have. So I'm really torn between all 3 letters, and I think different people will have a focus towards a different letter throughout different points in their career. I know that's definitely the case for me. But yeah, I feel that I really can't choose one. Sorry.
Yeah. So no, thank you for that. So there's an interesting question here that somebody asked midway through your talk, asking the rest of the audience to guess what the C stands for before you announce that it stands for curiosity. And I just wanted to share a couple of guesses. So we had we had caution, we had the word careful, and now the comments have gone so fast that I can't even scroll back up to it. But I thought that it was really fun to see people trying to guess that last C when it's actually curiosity. So a lot of great comments here for you, Danny. I really appreciate your time here. I'm trying to see if we can take a more question, or there's a comment here again from Sneha. I love how you focused on the other qualities of this field by going beyond the technical skills, to focus on creativity, communication, and simply some interest. Yeah, I really love that too. I think there's so much focus on the technical side of our field that we need to kind of step back sometimes and just really, really think bigger picture. So thank you for providing that for us today.
Thank you so much, Kate.